Hello, welcome to Dun Girls Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. So, I originally wasn't going to review this movie because honestly, I just watched this movie out of curiosity. Because when I first watched reviews for when this movie first came out, the movie sounded interesting, but like people were like, yeah, the movie's hit or miss, right? But I decided, I should review it anyway because there are a lot of people who are subscribed to this channel for movie reviews, not the comic book stuff. So it's like I should try to put out more content for them, right? So today I'm reviewing the Luke Scott directorial feature-length directorial debut, Morgan, which is a sci-fi thriller. Some people say horror movie. Not really enough scares, I would say, for me to consider this a horror movie. At best, it's a thriller, right? It's an hour and 32 minutes. Sorry. By the way, Luke Scott is the son of Ridley Scott, right? And his filmography was just he directed he worked on movies that his dad or projects that his dad was involved in, right? So this is like the first film he ever made. And I will say this, I think this is a better, besides from a few things here and there, I think this is a better directorial film, better first film than Brandon Cronenberg, who's the son of David Cronenberg, which his first movie looks so fucking trash. I refuse to watch it, but his second movie was good. Alright, so the film stars Anya Taylor Joy as Morgan, Kata Mara as Lee Weathers, Rose Leslie as Amy. She was in Game of Thrones. Paul Giamatti as Dr. Alan Shapiro. Though whenever they said his first name, to me it sounded like they were saying Ben Shapiro, but I could be wrong. Toby Jones as Dr. Simon Zegler, Jason Leigh as Kathy Grief, right? And I just have to double check. Michelle Yeoh is in the movie. She doesn't have a lot of scenes. And you got Boyd Holbrook as Skip Bronski. So the film is basically about, and here's one of the problems I have with this movie, is they don't give you enough information. And I know the reason why they don't give you enough information, because the characters would already know this stuff, and it would be kind of dumb to just say it out loud, but it made the movie kind of confusing. So the story is about, basically, you have this girl who is a genetically engineered humanoid, synthetic human, right, called Morgan, who is being developed in this remote forest, right, by this team of scientists who made her and watched her grow up, right? And she was being punished for something, right? And she freaks out. She spurgs out and stabs Jason Leigh's character in the eye, and the company, which is run by Brian Cox, who's in this movie. He only has two scenes, one in the beginning, one at the end. Though you don't see him in the beginning of the film. Who sends Lee Weathers, right, who's a risk assessment manager or whatever, to go there and assess what to do with Morgan, right? Is she dangerous or what? She's a product, right? But they don't really say what she's for. And right away, they let you know that Lee Weathers isn't who she says she is. You have one of the doctors literally call her an assassin, and that's what she turns out to be, right? Which there is a plot twist in the movie. I'm not going to say what. So something that major happens. She does the investigation. Everybody's covering for her except for the cook, right, played by Boyd Holbrook, who has a hunting rifle in his kitchen, which just pretty much tells you that they're playing. It's that old cliche. If you see a gun, you know it's going to be used, right? Which it doesn't even get. It gets used, but it doesn't actually ever kill anybody. So it's like, what was even the point of having the fucking hunting rifle? Forecasting the fucking hunting rifle, right? When it wasn't even going to get used. So what happens, right, is Paul Giamatti's character, who's supposed to do a psychoanalysis. This is a spoiler, but it's like it's a necessary spoiler. Because I have a criticism, right, of this scene where he goes to interview Anya Taylor Joy, he gets told that the thing can read minds, pretty much, right, and it's super smart, but it's like, right, and he's like, why the fuck can I go in the same room with this robot, right? And they're like, oh, for your own safety. Well, if I can't be in the same room with the robot, that pretty much says it failed its psych examination, right? So he goes into the room with it by himself and immediately is mind fucking the robot, trying to, like, you know, trying to trigger it violent response, which is super dumb when you find out that the thing later on in the movie, you find out, oh, the thing was a weapon. It was going to be some kind of assassination robot. So it's like having this guy, the doctor character, he knew that, and he still tried to evoke a violent response from the robot. That seemed really dumb, and that kicks off like the second half of the film, where you have characters betray our main character, right? And it turns out the robot, who's really, for a robot that's supposed to be very smart, it's very obvious when it tries to emotionally manipulate people, right? Where it calls Michelle Yeoh mother. It tried to, like, you know, it brought up the fact that Paul Giamatti's character was a father because she was trying to remind him, hey, I'm a child, which, you know, I get. With the hoodie, Anya Taylor Joy does look young, but like when the hoodie's off, yeah, she looks like a full-grown woman to me, right? Yeah. So, like, yeah, my problems with the movie is, like, the movie characters that are supposed to be smart, that are very smart, come off really dumb. And then there's the whole thing where, like this I get, okay, these scientists, researchers, like, are emotionally attached to this robot, right? Because they raised it when it was, like, you know, they raised it, right? And it became full grown after 5 years, so it's like relatively, they probably still see the robot as like a kid, right? But it's like when it kills Dr. Alan Shapiro, right? And tries to kill one of them, you would think, okay, they should have, okay, yeah, we need to do something about the robot, right? It was so dumb. And then there's the there's the final twist of the film, which I'm starting with. If you don't want spoilers for that, the movie's basically a 6 out of 10. But then, so the final twist of the film, it turns out that Lee Weathers was a robot, and she was a previous generation robot, right? Morgan was the latest one, and she was like the, you know, previous generation. Which, how come Morgan looks like an albino? And two, why would they even, like, if they already have the perfect robot that can blend into humans, why would they even make more, right? Try to make more advanced ones that would be, like, you know, dangerous and have free will and whatever, right? Which, why would you want your like, you know, have your killer robots have free will? Which that was Morgan's problem, right? Yeah, and I'm noticing this trend in these science fiction films I've been watching lately, like Upgrade, Possessor, and this film, where it's like you have this trend of, like, science fiction films that have been coming out lately, where you have like the main character turns out to be the secret villain of the movie all along, kind of like in The Usual Suspects. Spoiler alert if you've never seen the Bryan Singer film Usual Suspects. But like I'm sorry, I had to bring it up, and it's like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like what is up with that? Is that just in my head, or is that a thing? Is that a trend that's actually happening, right? Right. Well, in Upgrade, it's more complicated than what I'm talking about, but like, yeah. If you haven't seen Upgrade, the Lee Whannell film, go and check it out. That's a fucking amazing film, right? And Possessor by Brandon Cronenberg is also good. Make sure that check that out. But watch the uncut version. The uncut version is pretty fucking awesome. Ah, man. Though I hear literally the only changes apparently they kept the graphic fucking nudity and the uncut version. It's just that there's more gore in the uncut version. Sorry, in the cut version, and then like the uncut version has more gore, which is like, what the fuck, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's the thing, because you have this trend now of films where, like, you know, the villain, where the protagonist turns out to be a villain or whatever. It's like, I'm not even surprised when it turns out Lee Weathers was a robot, and like, you know, she kills the surviving members of this like research company, which I'm like, why was that necessary? Amy, I can kind of get, because she was like, she was helping Morgan, right? But like, what was the point of killing the cook? Right. It just, other than that, the company was never planning on letting anybody live or some shit, and they needed to cover up the whole mess. But like, what the fuck, man? I don't get it, dude. Yeah. I don't get it at all. But like, yeah, I'm saying, like, if I hadn't have seen like a bunch of these science fiction films where like it turns out the villain was really the main character all along, I would have probably given this movie at least a 7 or a 6.5. But like, honestly, it's just a 6 out of 10. Though I thought the cinematography was great, the directing was great. I kind of liked that. The whole theme of that they were showing you, like, you know, security footage, right? Which is like, okay, you're kind of seeing things for the perspective of Lee Weathers, right? Because she probably would have learned, you know, because like she would have learned the incident from the footage, right? But it's like, dude, that kind of changes when that kind of fucks up that shit, the security footage stuff, when you have when narratively there's like, you start, there are scenes in the film where you're following Anya Taylor Joy's character Morgan and Amy, and then like you're seeing flashbacks. That shit probably, I can understand the flashback. They could have had the flashbacks by having it like, you know, somebody told the story to Lee Weathers, and it wouldn't have fucked up, you know, the because like the whole, what's the point? My point is, what's the point of showing, like, you know, security footage of the stabbing that caused the whole incident when you're just gonna have flashbacks anyway? That kind of makes no sense. They should have had, like, you know, we could have learned about the incident that pretty much changed everything through like a story, and it would have made more sense of why, you know, you have the security footage, because you're learning things through Kata Mara's perspective, right, throughout the film. But then it changes like halfway, and you get like, you learn you're seeing things through other people's perspective. This makes no sense to me narratively. That was, in my opinion, a mistake, which, you know, which why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Though I think there was some great cool scenes where like you get, like, you know, where you actually feel the thrill in thrillers, which a lot of thrillers to me don't live up to their name. Here they kind of did when during the whole interview with Paul Giamatti and Morgan, which I thought that scene was shot great, written great, but like again, I had a problem with the whole he knows uh, we know after that, like, oh, he probably knew that the fucking thing was a killer robot, but he still wanted to be in the room by himself with it. That was really fucking dumb, right? So like I felt like Lee Weathers probably should have pulled her gun out after she killed Dr. Shapiro. Lee Weathers probably should have pulled her gun out and shot the shit out of Morgan. But it was the thing where like, oh, okay, well, if she did that, the movie would have been over, right? I don't know. If you want to know if I think this movie should be, you should watch it. I would say it's not worth buying, but if you want to, I would say it's worth watching once, because this Luke Scott guy, I think he has the makings of a talented director, but like I don't know if that's actually going to happen anytime soon, because the guy's already in his late 40s, because he's born in '68, so the guy's like already like kind of old. So I think if he was gonna make some more movies, he probably would have done it by now. Wait, I think he did make some more movies. It's just that they were just low budget. Yeah. No, he hasn't made anything since he did like some shorts for Blade Runner, and he did like 3 episodes of Raised by Wolves, which I heard that sucked. That movie, that TV series sucked. But I don't know. It says here it wasn't even created by Ridley Scott. It was created by some Aaron Guzikowski? Who the fuck? He wrote the 2013 film Prisoners, and the TV series Red Bro. What the fuck? I don't know, man. So I don't know if, like I said, I think this movie is worth watching once. All right, guys, peace.